Hi, and welcome to another edition of Seniors Today. I'm your host, Tom Bartee, and our guest today is Mr. Jon Riley, who's the Executive Director of the Napa-Solano Central Labor Council. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Tom. Welcome to be back.
Yeah, glad you could be here today. So today we were hoping to discuss a little bit about the importance of the trades in education for youth and how that interacts with what you do on a regular basis promoting the trades. Maybe you could give us a little intro on how that all works.
Sure, Tom. One of the things that happened when our education system shifted and every kid was going to go to college was the trades programs that we enjoyed when we were growing up left. And a lot of it had to do with funding, but I think the shift was that every child was going to go to college, and that's what they geared all of the education opportunities for. And several generations of young people aren't even aware that there's alternatives to college, and by that I mean the apprenticeship programs through the trades that are secondary education and, quite frankly, comparable to a four-year degree with what they have to go through to get a job. And the apprenticeship programs, the good thing about them is it's an opportunity for a young person to get a career that they can provide a living wage for their family, and at the same time they get paid while they're going to school, so they don't incur the student debt that we see that's so rampant in the United States right now. Our young people are getting out of college and have a student debt that's going to take them decades to pay off. And so those are opportunities lost. And so we're partnering. I also sit on the Solano County Workforce Development Board and working with the Napa-Solano Building and Construction Trades, as well as the California Labor Federation, as well as some of the key educators in the state and locally, trying to figure out how do we crack the opportunity and achievement gap. They recently had a charter school application go through the county, the elite charter. And there's two sides of the issue on whether or not those charter schools have a place. There's dependent and independent charter schools. And we advocate for dependent charter schools that are part of the district that don't take resources away from the local school system. But it was very obvious listening to the packed house in two different meetings, over 60 speakers, talk about and identify the achievement and opportunity gap that we have and that is so glaring in Solano County, especially in Vallejo and Fairfield, because of our demographics, because of our socioeconomic situation that we have here. It was demonstrative. And a lot of the speakers on both sides of the issue talked about the fact that when we were growing up, we had that trades awareness. We had that opportunity in school to know that if I stay in this math class, I may not like it, and I don't see myself going to college, but if I stay in that math class so that I can learn to read a tape measure, a slide rule, a compass, and we can keep one kid from dropping out of school because they know they have that opportunity, then I think everybody would feel like we did our work. But it's going to take a lot of collaborative effort to bring these programs back into the school system. And especially when we talk about Vallejo, where we're right now facing once again another $10 to $15 million deficit in our Vallejo school system. So how do we have a standalone academy that deals with trades and maybe manufacturing to afford our youth those opportunities that we had growing up? And I think it's going to take thinking outside the box. I think that we're going, especially in Vallejo and Fairfield, when 60% of the students that attend public schools in Vallejo are brown or African American, that's your achievement and opportunity gap right there. Because they're not aware of the opportunities that a career in the trades may present to them.
Well, that was quite an opening statement, and you pretty much encapsulate it. So the show's over.
Thank you
No,
very
just
much.
kidding. So, I remember wood shop, metal shop. They had an automotive shop in my high school. The girls had home economics, and they could do some of the other electives. But you're right. I mean, it slowly over the years has faded away to the point where some schools don't have any of that stuff. And I know the Vallejo School District has worked to have different kinds of academies to help prepare our high school students for some of these non-college entry-level positions that you said they make a living wage, and in some cases, some of these jobs make big money, and so there's opportunity on a lot of different levels. And of course, after somebody's been through the trades, they can end up in management too, sometime later in their career. So I totally get the importance of reincorporating that kind of preparatory education into the curriculums at the high schools, and then other vocational opportunities after that. And a good example is the IBEW training facility. Sheet metal workers have something. I think also pipe fitters, steam fitters, OE3. I mean, there's a lot of examples of vocational opportunities out there right now, and enhancing that is just icing on the cake.
Well, and it's all about awareness, and we're uniquely situated here. In our area, we have 6 state-of-the-art million-dollar training facilities for our trades, all within a 20-minute, 25-minute drive of each other. So over the past several years, we've teamed up with the building trades. They've organized tours. And the first 3 or 4 tours, we focused on educators. We focused on the business community, elected officials, to get the awareness of what we have to offer our youth. And last year, Danny Bernardini with the Building and Construction Trades came up with an idea to reach out to the kids now, because we've got the awareness from the top down, but now we have to educate and get the youth talking about the opportunities. And so we had youth from 6 different high schools that visited all of the training facilities during a one-day period. And then we had a busload of VIPs, people from the education arena, and business owners and elected officials that also came around. And it was marked to see these young people that got off of that bus and walked in and saw that there were career options out there that perhaps more fit in with what they felt they wanted to do. And so those are the types of things that we're really proud of, and we're really trying to work on to make sure that every kid that goes through middle school and high school at least has an awareness of an opportunity in the trades.
Do you know or have a rough estimate of how many kids, young adults, are in the 6 different facilities that you just referenced?
Well, I mean, when the facilities that we're referencing are apprenticeship programs. And so that would depend on what their curriculum and how many apprentices they take on. But they have classes of 20 to 30 that go through there consistently. Young people, you have to be out of high school before you can apply and get into an apprenticeship program. So what we want to do is try to make sure that the kids that are going through middle and high school are aware of those programs, and perhaps can take trade introductory or trade awareness programs that gives them exposure, so that when they're looking for what they want to do in their life, that they have that option available to them. And we've reached out to Dr. Clark and the Superintendent of Public Education, and they are 100% behind the efforts. It's just figuring out what model is going to work best for our situation here, and what resources that we'll have at our disposal to make it happen. And it may be, as I talked about earlier, thinking outside the box, we may have to look at private investment and education and the teachers union and the building trades and everybody collectively looking toward starting the program, especially when you're talking about Vallejo that's facing the fiscal restraints that we're facing right now.
You know, it's interesting when I travel around the North Bay and go to different cities and talk to different superintendents of schools and so on, and I mention to them what's going on in Solano County and in particular in Vallejo with the academies. They can't believe that the city of Vallejo has in their public schools virtually 100% opportunity for academies in the school district. And they go, wow, that's incredible. Maybe I can find out more about that so we can do that. And so what I'm getting at is that I think Vallejo and Solano County are kind of at the forefront of some of this awareness and implementation. And that's a great thing from my perspective.
Well, and I hear the same thing. As far as what we have to offer in Vallejo, and the academy system is certainly something that we're very proud of. And so the model is there, the willingness is there, and how do we make it happen so that we can add to that experience, add to that, and let our young people know that there's careers waiting for them out there in the construction and building trades as well.
So for IBEW, for example, the length of the apprenticeship program may be different than for a sheet metal worker or somebody that's going to pour cement or whatever. Mm-hmm. Do you have a sense of what some of these program lengths are?
Well, your standard apprenticeship programs are usually 3 to 5 years, depending on where you're at. I was a firefighter. I went through a 3-year apprenticeship program where every month we were tested on the skill set. And I know that I believe IBEW is a 3-year program. I wouldn't want to speak to that. That's another show to come in and start to maybe crack down on the specifics of what some of these programs have to offer. Mm-hmm. And it's all about awareness.
So are the programs a mixture of actually compensated work and on-the-job training or other kinds of internships? Or?
Yeah. Well, you don't want to say internships because those aren't paid positions, but yes, the apprenticeship programs, they go through their apprenticeship, they have class work that they have to do and their skill sets, but they're out on the job after an initial period of time, earning money and actually learning the job on the job.
So to have a 3-year program where you're actually getting paid while you learn, mm-hmm. That's not going to be a financial hardship on somebody that wants to get into the trades.
It's nothing but an opportunity for them.
Yeah.
The iron workers in Benicia have a wonderful program. They call themselves the University of Iron because they know that this is equivalent to going through a 4-year college. The education that they're getting in their trade and the opportunity that they have to make a living wage, and they're working while they're getting that education. Mm-hmm. And so, when I was a fire captain. And we started seeing the impacts of a whole generation or generations of youth that didn't have opportunities that we had growing up. And when you're a firefighter, you're a jack of all trades, and you need to know how to use the tools and what the building construction. You have to know building construction because you have to be able to tear that building apart when you're going and looking for fire. And so we started seeing that impact in that we had to add a couple of extra days into our apprenticeship for basic tools and the basic skill sets that we used to take for granted coming out of high school because of those programs that you had. And I think that there's a lot of industries that also, feel the impacts of not having those programs in the schools.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Are there any, on the horizon, any new fields? Any new training centers that might be coming open because of the shift in technology and some of those things that we're faced with?
Well, I think our workforce is always changing.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, Tom, we were told that we were going to go out and we're going to find a career and we're going to retire and we'll be able to raise our family. And now
that's assuming that we've grown up.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, we're still working on it.
But now they say that the average person will have 7 careers perhaps in their lifetime because of the transitory nature of what we're talking, and the ever-evolving change in technology. So yes, I think that you'll see a lot of that. But the bottom line is you still have to have roads You still have to build buildings. You still have to go out and make sure that we have a good infrastructure. And that's one of the other things. The need for this right now couldn't be greater. The workforce in the trades is aging out. And here we're talking about the fact that we have an infrastructure problem in our country right now that's going to have to be addressed. And so when the monies become available to deal with that, we may not have an adequately trained workforce. And so that's another motivating factor to make sure that these trades awareness programs are up and running. We were very happy. The North Bay Building Trades and Labor Council have a very good program, TIP program, Trade Introductory Program. And they've done these programs in Sonoma County, Napa. We just got done doing one in Vallejo at the adult school. And they're going to be bringing back another one in August, largely through the efforts of the Pobletti Foundation, getting involved and trying to make sure that we get this training awareness to our young adults. And so you have to start somewhere, and those programs are already in place, and they're modeled for adults in the adult school, but we can take some of those same curriculum and bring them into the schools and have them exposed a lot younger.
So let's say I'm 18 years old, just graduated from high school, or I will be in June. And I'm really, really interested in becoming something in the trades, let's say electrician. Where do I go to find out about the apprenticeship program or, other things that are out there? Are there websites available, or does your organization act as a clearinghouse to send people to the various places they might need to go?
Well, my organization is the Napa Solano Labor Council, and we have a lot of the building and construction trades affiliates in our council, but we also deal with teachers and firefighters and, educators, all the various unions. But the Napa Solano Building and Construction Trades, they would be a very good first start, and to reach out and figure out where. Or if you're a 18-year-old, you might even want to take a look at through your local high school or junior college what opportunities they may have as well. There is a big focus right now with the change in the workforce investment, WIOA law changes, and apprenticeship programs are front and center so that we can start training our youth for those opportunities. So that's where I would start.
So do you have any phone numbers or websites that you can recite for us?
I can't recite the building trades telephone number offhand, but I know that they're in the phone book, and you can look at, if you were to Google International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers or the Iron Workers, all of those training facilities would pop up. And they can always call me at the Labor Council, and we'll make sure that they get wherever they need to go, that we put them in touch with the proper people to start that awareness programs.
You mentioned the tours that you do to raise awareness in elected officials and now transitioning to the students. Do you have regular open houses at the various facilities, or opportunity for somebody to just make a phone call and come down and take a look to familiarize themselves with the program, or?
Well, I think that if, we're trying to incorporate as much as we can through the Labor Council and the Building and Construction Trades Council for the awareness, but it's the individual apprenticeship programs through those affiliates that are running. The carpenters have a wonderful facility in Fairfield, as do the iron workers. Sheet metal workers just have a brand new gold LEED certified building that they put up at the old Camper World. And so if you contact them directly, they would be able to facilitate you coming in and taking a look at what they have to offer. You have to remember that it's also a pretty competitive field as well. And so the earlier that we can get our young folks realizing that those opportunities are available for them, and by bringing those into the schools, they'll be setting themselves up for a pathway to get into an apprenticeship once they graduate.
That's cool. So are there any career fairs or anything like that coming up that any of our listeners or viewers might be able to check out?
Well, NBACA, which is the North Bay Apprenticeship Coordinators Association, and they're out of Fairfield. They're putting on a hands-on construction and career fair at the Carpenters Hall in Fairfield on Friday, April 20th, from 8:30 in the morning till 1:30 in the afternoon. And I will make that information available, the flyer available to VCAT, so they can perhaps put that up on their bulletin board so people
Okay.
have an understanding. They just had a big career fair. Actually, you know, one of the things that we're trying to do is also make sure that that women are aware of the opportunities in the field as well. And I'll tell you what, when we go on the tours, and especially when you have elected officials and educators and you get off that bus and they see young women that are in those programs, they gravitate toward them because it was unheard of when we were growing up that was even an opportunity. But if you go to an ironworkers or a carpenter's apprenticeship program, you'll see how many women that are actually looking at a career. And they just had Fairfield's first annual Sisters in the Brotherhood, the Carpenters put on, and had several hundred students that came in for the day and had a trades awareness training, and it was great to see. And so that was also sponsored by the Robbie Pabletti Foundation, which we partnered with because that's their passion, right? Is trades awareness. And so those are the upcoming on April 20th. That would be a very good start for folks that want to come in and kind of check out. It's going to be geared. A lot of the career fairs that are put on are so big, they're huge, and they have all the different careers that are there. And this one will be specifically targeted toward career in the trades so that we can, so it'll be a much more focused.
Yeah, when you said that it was hands-on, and I read the flyer, everybody's supposed to wear no open-toed shoes, no
Yep.
T-shirts or no tank tops or whatever. Are they actually going to be doing stuff in the trades in the
You
fair?
bet. The sheet metal workers, will have them working with sheet metal and show them how they put together whatever that project may be for the day. When I was there one time, they were doing some gutter work. And so they were showing them how that process. The operating engineers, now they don't have a local training facility. We wish they did. Theirs is up in Sacramento area. But theirs is one of the most extensive. But they have portable equipment that they can bring down so the young people can actually
Can learn
jump
how
in a
to-
cab. They can work articulate some of the machinery and see what that career may be. And so every one of the apprenticeship programs that are represented will have something for them to do to kind of pique their interest, so to speak.
Yeah, I heard today that even for the operating engineers, some people think that some of these organizations are just focused on one thing, but I heard today the operating engineers also have members that are at the ports, and it's just such a wide range of things to do. It's pretty exciting thinking about that as a future career. And
Well, and
sort
if you
of
look
deal.
at our area, and Vallejo in particular, that has Mare Island and some of the other things that we have going on. So we have that mix of education, we have that mix of industry. There's a lot of opportunities, for our young people to get careers right when they get out of their apprenticeship programs.
So just maybe you could give us a brief explanation of quick overview of your organization and who some of your members are and that sort of thing.
Well, the Napa Solano Labor Council has 52 affiliates. We have a lot of the different building trades. We have the sheet metal workers, the building and construction trades are part of our labor council, the iron workers, the operating engineers, IBW, but we also have the service industry workers, SEIU, 10 to 1, 1,000, 2015, the in-care home
You have
workers.
healthcare,
Health-
IHSS,
The
teachers.
nurses are all part of our labor council. So there's really not an industry that's out there that's not represented, that's union, that's not represented within our council. Some more active than others, but we're out there advocating all the time for working men and women in Napa and Solano County. We work very closely with the building and construction trades, and that's why we're helping them to focus on making sure that the careers they can offer to young people are available.
That's cool. So it's hard to believe that our time always flies by so quickly, but we're almost out of time today.
Okay.
Is there anything that you want to share in the last minute or so of the show with our audience?
Just
Maybe even give a plug for the Waterfront Weekend.
well, we just recently went out and handed out the fruits of our labor from the 2017 Waterfront Weekend, the fourth year. We gave out close to $30,000 to nonprofit organizations, 8 of them. We're already preparing for next year's Waterfront Weekend, trying to make it bigger and better than it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to be putting out grant applications for nonprofit organizations the 1st of March, and we will probably have that till the end of March, and then we'll pick another maybe 8 worthy causes that can benefit this year. But that's
Cool.
the first weekend in October. Free festival, 2-day festival with all kinds of good stuff for the kids to do.
Yeah, that was very cool.
And the Labor Council is one of the biggest sponsors of that as well.
So can I assume that my 401k doesn't qualify as a nonprofit?
I don't know.
Probably not. That's just wishful thinking on my
Copy
part.
that.
Yeah.
But there's organizations like, the Vallejo Arts Foundation and, VCAT would certainly qualify as a nonprofit organization that's out in the community doing good work. And quite frankly, they teamed with us on the Waterfront Weekend and are showing a lot of the good video from that weekend. But so we encourage the public to take a look for that when it comes out for the grant applications. Perhaps we can also have VCAT put those up on the community bulletin board so those opportunities will be known to the public as well.
Awesome. Well, John, thank you as
Thank you,
always
Tom.
for being here today. Thanks for all the good things you do in the community.
You as well.
Thank you. And with that, that's all the time we have for today. Our show airs Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. on VCAT or Comcast Channel 27, AT&T UVerse 99, and streaming live video at vcat.tv. Come see us again next time.